I think the mistake with this is that it makes it look like these kinds of problems can be solved easily if you just show compassion. Like compassion is the solve all. It's like, but not just compassion, right? God kind of serves as a deus ex machina to just kind of come and save people in the end. And this is often a mistake, I think, in stories. It is kind of hitting the easy button, and it lacks kind of believability, to I think most people.
Yeah,
And what did you think, Rebecca?
I liked it a lot.
Yeah.
Uh, yeah, I mean, it was just well made, really well
Mhm.
made, and characters were engaging, nice. Everything was set up really nicely to draw you in.
Yeah.
Uh, you know, Obviously a drama, um, a lot of good characters. I thought it was all good. The writing, the directing, I thought it was well done. At the end of the movie, I kind of wanted to know more about this family.
Yeah.
Um, so I guess we've probably already talked about this on the show, but just a quick synopsis of Homestead is that there's some kind of nuclear disaster, and you follow a couple of different families, and they all seem to have this solution in their mind that they're going to go to this guy. We don't really know how they know him, but they're
Right.
going to go to this guy in Colorado. They're going to drive to his house because he's the guy you want to be with
Yeah.
at the end of the world. So,
Like he's made it known before all this happened. Like we're
yeah,
preppers, we're prepared for things.
yeah,
They kind of are a rich family. They kind of have a
out
big house. They'll have a
beautiful
lot of
house.
land. They probably have like 100 acres or something. I don't know, a lot of land. And they seem people seem to know them either through family or friends.
Yeah,
And now that this thing has gone down, it's like this is the first person they think of,
yeah,
which kind of
exactly.
makes sense.
Yeah, and I think in some ways we have like a lot of people have thought of that before. A lot of people have been like,
Yeah,
oh, well, when this, like people say, when the zombie apocalypse comes, I want to be with that guy, or I'm going to go
right.
to that guy's house, or
Yeah,
um. So I think that's, I was, you could follow that line of thinking, even though they don't explain a lot. I didn't really feel like they needed to, and
true.
so some people get in the gates and some people don't, and that's a
Hmm.
little tense, um, and stressful, but. Um, It was just good. Good characters, yeah. Obviously seemed to be a Christian family because they were talking about prayer a
Well,
lot.
the wife seems to
Yeah,
mostly be a Christian, and also they
yeah,
seem to have raised their daughter to be a Christian. But
right.
it's kind of ambiguous whether the husband really is a
Yeah,
believer. He almost acts like he just believes in her, not in
yeah.
God.
Okay.
So I that felt a little bit, um, which we'll talk about feminism soon, but that,
Yeah.
that that felt to have a little bit of a feminist vibe.
Yeah. And and yeah, a lot of homeschool references, which was
Yeah,
fun. So it seems like the daughter of the family is homeschooled and a lot of the families that visit them. So that was kind of neat. Yeah, I don't have too much else to say about it other than that,
yeah.
but it was definitely worth watching.
It is very decent. I mean,
Yeah,
when you take a show, right, and you re-edit it, I'm assuming they re-edited it for this project for with Angel Studios. Because Angel's doing something, by the way, that's very unique from anybody else in the world. They are making shows that can also be shown in theaters and movies that can also be shows. And you
yeah,
just don't see this anywhere else. They started with The Chosen, and The Chosen to this day now, every year they come out with a new season, they also release it in theaters. So
right.
this is just unheard of. It's quite like refreshing because it's kind of a new idea. And it also seems kind of difficult because it's like but they seem to be accomplishing it. They seem to be pulling it off because this is essentially the pilot of the show, and it's constructed like a movie.
Yeah.
It's good. It doesn't lose you. The plot doesn't lose you with the tone.
No.
It's not, it doesn't get boring in any way. The visuals are good. They look cinematic. Um, like the color correction, definitely cinematic.
Yeah.
Um, I'm not saying it was like perfect whatsoever. There was definitely some issues. Like we just talked about, some of the character development might seem a little bit paint by numbers, very tropish. Just the whole concept, right? That they are a rich family and now everyone knows about them and wants to get in through the gates after some apocalypse is very it's kind of like the scenario you always imagine,
Hmm.
whether you're thinking of like the zombie apocalypse like The Walking Dead or something, or whether you're imagining some other kind of apocalyptic scenario, or World War situation or what have you. Um, and some disaster movie. It follows a lot of disaster movie tropes. We talked a lot about, not a lot, but we've talked a little bit in the past about other kind of genre tropes and other shows such as Jericho. I think I mentioned Jericho, which I really liked. We've talked about The Walking Dead, and compared it to these. And they're like The Road was another one was pretty good. Um, there's a lot of comparisons you could make. Probably The Walking Dead is the closest thing to it, except this is not gory at all. I mean, I think that even kids could watch it for the
Yeah.
most part. Not really young kids, but kind of teenager kids could watch it. They have a little bit of a love story between older teenagers, um, and kind of like young love type themes there.
And they did that really well, I thought. I
They
really
did.
liked
It was
how they did
classy.
that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But some of the relationships are kind of paint by numbers. You mentioned how some people couldn't get into the gates and other people could.
Hmm.
Well, the important thing to note there is that the reason they can't climb over the fence or whatever is because they hired, hired security, right? And so the owner of of the house knew this security guy, this military guy, and he has a lot of people working under him. And so automatically, as soon as this happens, he like shows up at the gate and it's like, well, come on in. And so they kind of take over security for this facility, this home, and that shows the immediate tension of the show, which is now you have two big dogs here in charge of this house, and the other is the legit owner, and the first is the legit owner, and the other, the new guy, is the guy with the guns. So that's the question: is does the guy with the guns get power hungry and just take over, right? Or is the legit owner going to stay in power? It's going to depend on if he makes good decisions, right? And is he going to be smart about this thing? I don't want to reveal the ending, but there were some things that we talked about, like that I was disappointed by. I guess like what I could say about that is it felt like they hit the easy button on a little bit of that and made it look easy, like an easy solution in the end. And it goes with our discussion here with feminist movies. It has a little bit of that trope in there. I think the mistake with this is that it makes it look like these kinds of problems can be solved easily if you just show compassion. Like compassion is the solve all. It's like, but not just compassion, right? Who's God kind of serves as a deus ex machina to just kind of come and save people in the end. And this is often a mistake, I think, in stories. It is kind of hitting the easy button. and it lacks kind of believability, to I think most people. I think for Christians, Christians can accept a lot of it because Jesus is kind of our Deus ex machina, and he does actually kind of come and save us at the end of the day. But the reason that's believable is because he's God, right? That's why it's believable. But like we also have stories in the Bible where, like Job, where you're like, well, why is this happening to me? And so Christians also have this understanding that God doesn't just always save you from your problem. Like he actually wants you to learn how to get out of your situation quite often, and to show patience, to show the fruits of the spirit, right? To be wise, to not judge others too harshly, to be gracious. And so there's a lot of kind of things we have to exhibit in our understanding of God's wisdom and how we treat other people. It is important how you treat other people. Um so this Deus Ex Machina situation kind of rubbed me the wrong way in a little bit, but I'm not I don't think that the show is feminist. Like I really don't, even though it kind of has a little bit of that trope and it kind of hits the easy button. Um it's I think there was good intentions on it.
Yeah, the movie, I thought the movie had some really good male leadership and um women, wives trusting their husbands in a time where you really need to work together as a unit.
Yeah.
You can't be like having spats and things. But I mean it wasn't perfect. Like there were certainly couples that were going back and forth on stuff, but mostly I
Yeah.
felt like it was a pretty positive representation of,
Yeah, it's not like they didn't have spats, right? They
yeah,
actually had quite a lot of spats, but these were not like deal breaker situations.
right.
These were
Yeah.
not situations where people were like, "Wow, well, I'm just gonna leave," or whatever. Or
Yeah.
you've really done it this time. Like it doesn't it, they're fresh, there's a clash, right? But then one person tends to um let it go, right?
Yeah.
And
It felt like, I don't like this, but I trust you. That
yeah,
kind of thing. Yeah.
right, right. Which I think is generally more realistic because
Hmm.
Hollywood tends to really melodrama this up in many ways. And it's kind of like women giving birth on film. It's like always crazy. It's like always like, it's the worst thing ever. Ladies, if you've done this, you know this is not always true. And if guys have been in that room, you know this is not always true, right?
Just doesn't
It's
look the way they
nonsense.
portray it.
I mean, sure, I'm not saying that it's not true for some women, but Hollywood acts like it's for every single woman that ever gives birth. It's just like, and likewise with these relationships, right? Hollywood often acts like, you know, marriages are just meant to fail. Like it's just like, that like you generally don't see Hollywood being like, marriage is great,
Yeah.
and there was some difficult things here in the sense that, like even though you said that there were some good strong men, it's true that there were some good strong men. But we've also now seen two
The show.
episodes from the
Yeah.
show, and not to give spoilers or anything, but like I don't see any positive male figures here, frankly. I see them mostly, I see mostly the women kind of coming in and solving things.
Mm.
Um, and I'm not saying this is certainly not Hollywood level feminism, right? It's a little toned down, but it's still like the ladies, man, they got it together and they're working, they're trying to do good things. And the guys just seem like depressed, angry, can't communicate, can't solve things.
Hmm.
Um, and that can be true. I'm not saying that's not true, but it's like it just seems like always this is happening, you know.
Yeah.
Um, you know, this is also going to be part of the genre. because it's like, well, this is the situation where everything's obviously going to be going wrong because otherwise there'd be nothing happening in the show. So, I mean, obviously this is
Yeah.
we understand what this show is. It is things are gonna go wrong. But you remember that one scene, the guy is like trying to fix the solar panel, and then the lady
Oh,
just comes and like screws the thing, and then she's like, "It's done." She hands him the screwdriver.
yeah.
Oh boy. Uh Now, if you do remember, and I think you do, she is an expert, right? Well, I don't know if expert, but like she was in the military and she did do this work.
Yeah. In the movie,
Right. It shows in the movie. Yeah.
they make that comment that she had some experience with solar panels.
Yes.
And so, but it's if it's just standalone watching the episode, you're like, what?
Yeah, because literally it's like she just does a screwdriver and it's finished. It's like
Yeah.
you couldn't have done that.
I
They
saw one
really
of
did it make it look silly like the way they did that, but uh
yeah.
generally these things are not fixed with just like screwing something in. That's just not how these things work. She'd
Yeah.
probably like even as an expert, she'd probably have to look at it for like a good 15 minutes and be like, okay, because I mean, electrical devices, there's so many connections within electrical devices. I mean, things could go wrong in many different places.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to act like an expert. I'm just going to say that they made it look kind of silly when they
It
did it
was a
in the
bit
scene.
too easy of a
Yeah,
fix.
yes, to another easy button thing, hitting the easy button there.
So
But
you
like
said you saw 2 episodes?
I did. So you
Okay.
you, you only saw one?
I only saw that first one and I was kind of like, but I figured it would get better.
Yeah. It's still a good show.
Yeah, it is good, and it's not really, I wouldn't say it's that different from the movie, except for the pacing. So a
Yes.
movie, you've got that certain kind of pacing that's leading you along
Mm-hmm.
to the end, to a conclusion, but a show, it's like slow
You got to
burn.
draw it out more. Yeah. Yeah.
Drama, drama, drama.
Yeah. So yeah, but I did enjoy it. I was impressed with the show and the movie, the pilot. And it's also worth seeing.